A few days ago, I decided to do something that probably makes no sense in 2026. I installed Windows XP on a real computer and tried using it as if it were still a modern operating system. And now, if you're old enough to remember Windows XP, you'll probably have some great memory of it. The iconic Bliss wallpaper, the startup sound. And honestly, XP still feels surprisingly fast even today. But after spending some time with it in 2026, I quickly realized that nostalgia and reality are two very different things. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Techu Dama Lab, and today in this video I'm gonna show you what my experience was actually like using Windows XP in 2026. And what still works, what doesn't, and why the legendary operating system is basically surviving on community midlife support. So, without getting much more delayed, let's get started. After installation, the first thing I wanted to do was simple. Open a browser and go to online. The version of Internet Explorer comes with Windows XP is practically unusable today. In my testing, many websites either refuse to load or display security errors immediately. Even basic websites struggle because Windows XP was designed long before modern web security standards became common. Today's websites rely heavily on modern encryption technologies such as TLS 1.2 and TLS 1.3. Windows XP simply wasn't built for that world. As a result, many websites reject the connection altogether. For a moment, it felt like the internet had completely abandoned XP. Fortunately, the XP community hasn't given up. I installed browsers like Supermium and MyPal, which are community-maintained projects designed to keep older operating systems online. And surprisingly, they actually works. I was able to browse websites, open Gmail, and even watch some YouTube videos. But there was a catch. These modern browsers are much heavier than anything XP was designed to run. The more tabs I opened, the more unstable the system became. On lower-end hardware, crashes and memory issues can appear pretty quickly. And when it comes to streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, or Prime Video, I hit another wall. Because Windows XP doesn't support the modern DRM technologies that this platform requires, they simply don't work. And after getting online, I started thinking about something much more important: security. And this is where things get uncomfortable. Microsoft officially ended mainstream support for Windows XP more than a decade ago. Only a few emergency patches were released later for major threats like WannaCry and BlueCap. Those fixes are now years old themselves. The reality is that Windows XP hasn't received meaningful security protection for a very long time. While using it, I constantly had the feeling that I was operating without a safety net. Modern operating systems receive security updates every month. Windows XP doesn't. Any vulnerabilities that remain are simply there forever. Security researchers and hackers have had years to study on that operating systems in detail. That's why I would never recommend using Windows XP for online banking, sensitive work, or storing important personal information. In 2026, connecting Windows XP directly to the internet is a risk that most people shouldn't take. The next challenge I encountered was hardware compatibility. And honestly, this was one of the biggest frustrations. Windows XP was designed for hardware from a completely different era. Most modern processors, graphics cards, and motherboards were never given XP drivers. In many cases, manufacturers stopped supporting XP more than a decade ago. That means even if you successfully install the operating system, certain hardware features simply won't function properly. Graphics acceleration can be limited, drivers can be missing, and performance may not be what you expect. I also ran into XP well-known memory limitation. The standard 32-bit version of Windows XP can utilize about 4 gigs of RAM. Back when XP was released, this sounds huge. In 2026, that's almost nothing. Modern browsers almost can consume significant portion of that memory. And then there are storage devices. Windows XP was created long before NVMe and SSDs existed. Native support simply isn't there. Even when using SATA SSDs, XP lacks RAM support, which helps modern SSDs maintain performance over time. It's another reminder that XP was never designed for today's hardware ecosystem. Next, I started testing softwares. And this is where I really felt how much time has passed. Many of the applications we use every day simply refuse to run. Modern version of Microsoft 365 didn't work. Current Adobe Creative Cloud application didn't work. Discord didn't work. Zoom didn't work. And many other popular programs won't even install. The reason is simple. Modern applications are designed around newer version of Windows and rely on system functions that doesn't exist inside Windows XP kernel. As for gaming, the situation isn't much better. Performance like Stream, Epic Games, Launcher, and EA Play left Windows XP behind years ago. That doesn't mean gaming is impossible. In fact, XP remains fantastic for classic games for its own era. But if you're hoping to play modern titles, you are going to be disappointed very quickly. Something I noticed while researching XP in 2026 is that the entire technology industry continues to move in further away from the legacy systems. Hardware manufacturers focus on newer operating system, software developers target modern Windows versions, security standards continues evolving, and even Microsoft continues tightening security requirements across Windows ecosystems. Every year, Windows XP becomes more isolated from the modern computing world. It's not just old anymore, it's operating in a completely different era. After spending time with Windows XP in 2026, I can honestly say this: I understand why people still love it. It's lightweight, it's responsive, it's nostalgic, and it represents one of the greatest operating systems Microsoft ever released. But nostalgia can only take you so far. For daily computing in 2026, Windows XP feels increasingly disconnected from modern technology. So that's what happened when I installed and used Windows XP in 2026. Now I want to hear from you. Have you used Windows XP recently? And if you could bring back one classic version of Windows, which one would it be? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this experiment, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Techu Dama Lab, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.